In 1950, Pope Pius XII dogmatized, declared as a dogma, the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary, the Blessed Mother of God, Mary, the Mother of Jesus. And of course, since only in 1950, the Pope of Rome made it a dogma, so invented a new doctrine of the Assumption of Mary. Therefore, you can see it's proof, it's 100% proof. You can see it. Anybody with eyes can see that the Roman Church just invents stuff out of thin air. After 1,950 years, a Pope invents a dogma, calling it an Assumption. See, the Catholics, they worship Mary. They think she's a goddess. That is actually what a lot of Christians believe. And unfortunately, a lot of Catholics think almost the same thing. Oh, before 1950, it wasn't a dogma, so it wasn't true. It is some pope in 1950 who invented it. But of course, this is all delusion. It is all false. The belief, the doctrine, the apostolic doctrine, the fact of the Dormition and Assumption and coronation of the Blessed Virgin Mary, the Mother of God incarnate, has been a belief of all the churches, east and west, north and south, and in almost every single liturgy. The Ethiopic Orthodox Church, the Coptic Orthodox Church, the Armenian Orthodox Church, of course the Byzantine churches, the churches in the East in India, the Syriac churches, and of course the Roman Church and the churches of the West, all believed that Mary, when she died, the question is, did she actually die? Did she physically die? In brief, her death, actually I was just watching some Coptic priests on TV have been talking about the revival, the Nahda, the rising of Mary, of the Virgin. Again, because the Coptic Orthodox Church, too, even though they don't have a pope in 1950 who dogmatized the Assumption, believed for 2,000 years in the Assumption of the Virgin Mary, that her body was raised and her soul Christ took and united with her body and took her, Mary, into heaven. And you can see her in her icons crowned as the Queen of Heaven. That is a faith. It's an apostolic tradition. It's a faith. It's a doctrine. It's a fact which came down through the centuries. And how do we know it's a fact? Because every single church throughout the world from the most ancient past believed it and celebrated it and promoted it and taught it. So, but I don't see it in the Bible. Well, it doesn't matter. I'm not written that I was born in the Bible, therefore I don't exist. I don't see it. Well, the Bible doesn't have everything. Even St. John, I think, says that Jesus did so many miracles, so many wonders that are not recorded. I mean, if they were recorded, they would fill, I don't know what the expression he used, basically all the books of the world wouldn't contain all the miracles and wonders which Jesus did. Well, it's not in the Bible, so it must not be true. Well, yeah, it is. And what's a good book? A good book which I'm actually trying to dedicate some time to actually go read it. And I've had it for a few years, and I always start a bit, take a few notes and stop, take a few notes and stop, take a few notes and stop. But I have to dedicate some time, and I'm not a person who can jump from book to book and read 2 or 3 or 4 books simultaneously. I can't do it. I got to sit there and concentrate on one. So, and this is the book here. And I encourage everybody to grab it by Stephen Schumacher, that is early Oxford Early Christian Studies, Ancient Traditions of the Virgin Mary's Dormition and Assumption. And it's a humongous book. You can just Google yourself, go Ethiopic or Assumption of Mary or Assumption of the Theotokos or the Dormition of the Theotokos or the Dormition of St. Mary, the Assumption of St. Mary, Ethiopic, Coptic, and you'll find icons, doctrines. So Armenian, same thing. all of us believed in that fact that Mary, the Mother of God, when she died, she was dead for a few days. Some say 3, some say 4. On the third day, Christ came and took her body. Some, I think I noted in some of the stories here, they say the 4th day because Christ was on the 3rd day, so it was like 1 extra day. It doesn't matter. The whole point, and Pope Pius XII basically said what we have to believe is that Mary was taken body and soul into heaven, and she is in heaven right now. And this is not, as I said, a new doctrine. Look at the Rosary from St. Dominic in the Middle Ages, and there's the mystery of the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary and the mystery of her coronation. Oh, that's way before Pius XII invented the dogma of the Assumption. What does a dogma mean? Meaning there is no dispute. Meaning, well, it's a doctrine. I mean, it should be, the Romans, like the Western Church, are so legalistic in a sense. This is a teaching, a doctrine, a practice which was there for 1,000 years, for 1,700 years. Do we actually need a pope to tell us, no, you cannot even dispute this fact? We're going to make it a dogma. I guess Pope Pius XII felt it was needed to dogmatize it so that no discussion can be had anymore. Yes, Mary is in heaven, body and soul, period. And if you don't believe that, you're not a Catholic, you're actually not a Christian, because every ancient Christian church believes that. In this book here, The Assumption of the Virgin, the cool thing is, of course, there's the study part. There's a study section where the author analyzes. So I'm just looking at the table of contents here, like the earliest traditions, the earliest Dormition traditions, their name and shape. And then that's one section. And then the ancient Palestinian cult of the Virgin and the early Dormition traditions. And, oh my God, he said the word cult. Cult means worship. The cult of the Virgin, the cults of the saints. It's a cultus. It's a worship. And of course, we worship the saints in a different way than the worship God incarnate, because they are not God. They are not gods or goddesses. We venerate them. And Mary, of course, has the ultimate veneration, because she is the Mother of God, who was a virgin, stayed a virgin while Christ was in her, and she remained a virgin miraculously after Christ was born, during his birth and after his birth. So again, it has the origin of the development of the Marian cult in late ancient Jerusalem, up to early medieval Jerusalem, rival traditions of the Mary's death. Then this has the independent origins of the ancient Dormition traditions. Anyways, so it has a whole, like the big, which is a good portion of the book. See, this much is the study section. I don't know if you can see that here. That's the study section. So it's about, how many pages is this? About 290 pages. And then the other section, which is quite a lot of them, is the primary sources. So there's the Liber, the Ethiopic on the repose of Mary, Virgin Mary. So there's this full text, and there's a section in it that's so good. It has the Ethiopic part and the Georgian part. Like if there's any slight variations in the readings and so forth. So there's that, and then there's another one. That's a big one. Ethiopic and Syriac, and Ethiopic and Georgian. So this is a big one. And then there's several others, actually. So this is another one. The earliest Greek Dormition narratives. So I find these actually even almost more interesting than the actual study parts. And I actually started reading these before I actually went to the actual study. And I did read a lot of them. And then this is the 5th century Syriac palimpsest fragments of the 6 books. so I can't. So my pronunciation isn't the greatest. The Ethiopic 6 books. So this is the Ethiopic 6 books. So and remember, you have to keep in mind that the Ethiopic Orthodox Church, the Coptic Church, were separated from the whole entire what we call today the Eastern Orthodox and the Catholics, because during, I think, at the Council of Chalcedon, I believe, because of the the question about the nature of Christ, and was it one nature, or is it two natures and one person? And I think all of that is mainly a confusion in language, because the definitions were in Greek. Ethiopics and Copts were not the masters of Greek, even though they had Greek theory. Again, the way you use the language, because in their liturgy it's clear that Christ is human, completely human and completely divine, yet he is one. And how do you explain that oneness? So yeah, you can create heresy and schism over nothing sometimes. And then there's the Sahidic Coptic homily on the Dormition attributed to Pope Evodius of Rome, according to the Copts anyways. Here. So anyway, and I think maybe one or two more. Appendix, what is this? Let's have a look. Jacob of Serug, homily on the Dormition. That's from the 521 AD. Way before Pope Pius XII in 1950 declared the dogma of the Assumption. It's the Dormition. Remember, Dormition and Assumption are all kind of connected, because she didn't just sleep. She woke again. The Nahda, the awakening of the Virgin. So this is, as I said, and if you just look at their icons, you'll find icons in the Ethiopic or the Coptic, or just Google it, just look it up. You'll find icons of all the apostles surrounding the Virgin Mary while she was dead, and the various stories about it. And then the same churches have icons of, in her Dormition, you see Jesus holding a child, which symbolizes the soul of Mary. And then the same churches, you'll find icons of Mary in heaven, crowned as queen. So we have the same faith expressed through the liturgy and tradition of all the ancient apostolic churches, East and West. So this is a thing to bring to your truly maybe sincere Christians who believe the Holy Scriptures, but say, I don't understand, you're making me Mary a goddess. Tell them, look, this has been the teaching, this has been the practice, this has been the belief of all the churches, East and West, from the beginning. Prove us wrong. Prove us wrong. And they cannot prove us wrong. And if you are truly a Bible-believing Christian and want to follow the apostolic faith, then you see, what did the apostles teach? What did the ancient fathers, the successors of the apostles who heard the apostles, taught? And then you too should believe as they did. So let us celebrate the feast of the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary, the Dormition and Assumption of the Mother of God incarnate. In the West, and I think in the Eastern Orthodox, celebrated on the 15th of August. I believe the Copts and the Ethiopians celebrated on, I could be wrong, I think August 21 or so. And there's always the tradition of the Dormition fast, which was the fast of the Virgin. So people fasted for 2 weeks. Before a great feast, there is a fast. Unfortunately, in the West, especially starting in the early 19th century, the fasting rules were getting weaker and weaker and weaker in the Catholic Church. And by after Vatican II basically pretty much abolished, what do we have? Like one, don't eat meat on a Friday in Lent, and that's pretty much it. That's not a fast, that's a joke. And basically there is no fasting before the Eucharist. Before, it was before midnight. At midnight you don't eat or drink anything until you receive the body and blood, soul and divinity of God incarnate, of God, the God who made you and saved you and suffered for you. And then after you feast on the heavenly banquet, then you go and eat your earthly food. But this has all been abolished. Well, yeah, abolished by the innovators in the West. So what do? We just observe the ancient tradition. Even in the Didache, the most ancient document, ancient Christian document, even earlier than some old New Testament writings, teaches that Christians at that time, receiving in tradition, fasted, meaning no food and no drink till sunset, basically, on Wednesdays for the betrayal of Judas and Fridays for the crucifixion of Christ. And of course, for the Eucharist, they come fasting to eat, and after that, they feast. So that is basically my little short video today. If you're interested and want to learn, read the historical sources, the earliest writings, the most, if you want to get, if this interests you to even dig deeper into the thing about the teaching of the Virgin Mary's Assumption, I recommend this book very, very highly. That's it. That's all. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.